we really do need like this entry level way to get in the door of real estate and to give people consistent income.
Yep.
Which arbitrage can do with Airbnb. All right, today I have one of my newest business partners. I told you guys I'm going to try to acquire a lot of businesses in 2023, and actually this was our first acquisition. This man came from a golf with me session. I keep telling you guys, when you golf with me, you never know what's going to happen.
Stuff happens.
But I really like this guy's values, same Christian beliefs in the Airbnb game, and I knew we wanted to bring Airbnb to Wealthy Investor. And this is the man to lead the charge. Ivan Tejeda, what's up, man?
What's up, my brother? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Love it.
So we're out here right now for the Tykes and Wealthy Investor Summit.
Yep.
I also met you because you're in Wealthy Creator and the Tykes boardroom. So you're already bought in.
I'm all in, man. It's almost like, what else can I get? There's nothing else out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty much, boardroom, Wealthy Creator, and Golf with Ryan.
And now you're leading the charge of our new, Airbnb coaching program, which we'll talk about here shortly.
For sure.
But, bro, so tell people a little bit about who you are, man.
Yeah, so I was raised between Dominican Republic and Miami, single mom, raised with my brother. We went back and forth like when we were up until middle school, pretty much back and forth from Miami, Dominican Republic. I got the values of, seeing what real poverty looks like in Dominican Republic, growing up with a chip on my shoulder. I didn't have a really good relationship with my dad per se. So in my rebellious years, there was times where I was like, man, I should just change my last name and just change it to my stepdad's. I didn't want anything to do with him back then. So that was kind of like the chip on my shoulder. And then I really felt that I should, instead of change my last name, I should change my last name and like what it means for me. Because everything that, came from my dad's side, it was almost a fog as to like, it was negative environment, like family on his side of his side of the family. Everything that got back to me was just negative stuff. Like a cousin that I grew up with got shot, doing some drug deals or something like that. Of course, there's, I'm sure, really good things that happened,
right?
But the bad things were the things that came back to me. So it was almost like, it was in the back of my mind is like, I want to change that. I want to be able to put some respect on my name kind of thing, and make Tejeda mean something for the generations to come. And then that's kind of what I grew up in. I grew up in sales, and then, went to Miami for indefinitely, started high school there. And my brother and I were just, going through the motions. I was very entrepreneurial from the very beginning. I was, in sales, and my first sales job was Circuit City. I don't know if a lot of people remember what that was, but selling TVs, I was killing it. A guy.
What did you guys make as a commission on a TV?
Dude, it varied. Obviously, Sony's would pay a little bit more than, the Samsungs or whatever.
Was it like 10% or something or what?
Yeah, I would say back then it was maybe like, 12, 15%.
Okay.
Back then there were $4,000 or $5,000 TVs
for a plasma.
Now you can get one for $700, $800 and it's a beautiful TV. Yeah, but when it was first starting. So yeah, I started there, and then how this Airbnb thing happened was mostly we moved from Miami to Charlotte. We now live in Charlotte. That's where we have our portfolio. The wife and I presented it to her. She wasn't fully on board in the beginning about moving from Miami. She grew up there. That's all her life.
You guys
family.
met while you were working at Circuit City or what?
No. We met actually at a church retreat.
Okay.
She was serving. She was a leader, and I was a new believer. Okay. And, she scoped me out. No, I'm just kidding. We actually...
That guy looks like a newbie.
Yes. But at the end of the day, we just built a relationship as far as friendship goes. We were in the same group of friends.
Yep.
And then there was really no interest on either side of us. But, as time developed and, we started...
Bro, how you can say there's no interest on either side? She's way better looking than you.
110%. I would actually attest to that. But there wasn't... Like, my mind was somewhere else. I was the kind of guy, I'll tell you that. I was the kind of guy where... I didn't mind being alone. Like,
okay,
I was good being single, and she was actually my first real girlfriend.
It's funny. I've said this on the podcast before, but probably most people don't know this. Mindy was my first real girlfriend as well.
That's crazy. We have a lot in common. Is one of the reasons, and I guess we'll get to that. But that's one of the reasons why I gravitated towards you so much. Is like
we both have great hair.
Great hair,
They're in different places.
Exactly. You got a little bit of something that I want. I got a little bit of something you want.
My beard sucks.
There you go.
Yeah.
But we met through church, and developed the relationship. And fast forward, we got married. And then at some point, I don't even remember when, I told her, I was like, I don't really see ourselves raising a family here in Miami.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you didn't.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no, we definitely wanted a family. It's just like here in Miami. Miami is fun to vacation, and it's enjoyable. All our friends and family are over there. So we one time just said, you know what, let's go check out, Charlotte. And the reason why is because if we were going to move somewhere, it would be somewhere that had a church that we would want to congregate in. That was like it had to be the common denominator. Wherever we looked at is where we would congregate. And that's where Elevation Church is, Valentine main campus, Pastor Stephen. And he's like, you know what, let's just take a weekend trip. We drove up there, 10-hour drive, with not even just stopping to pee and just going, and on a budget, no real money yet, nothing like that. So we set up a realtor, tour to see some houses. And we got there on a Friday night, was it? And then we toured or saw houses Saturday all day. Mm-hmm. And, by Sunday we went to service, to church, and drove back home. And then it was at that moment that the wife said, I feel, this is something that sticks to me, because she says, I feel about this place how I felt when I knew that you were my husband. And that was 4 years ago, going on 5. So, long story short, we kind of pulled the trigger on one of the properties that we saw. And I had secured a job because I was in real estate. I'm sorry, not real estate. Allstate insurance.
Okay.
I built an agency from scratch, basically, with my boss, and we started it, built it to like $3 million book of business for insurance. I'm selling car insurance, all these type of insurances, and manage a small team of salespeople, and all of that. So I secured a job in Charlotte, which required me to get there a couple months before our house finished being built. Right. So the idea was that I had already done some research on Airbnb, and I wanted to definitely, kind of take a swing at it, and basically secured a lease for an apartment in Charlotte, sight unseen, and I did it the right way, did it through my LLC. And the idea was that once our house was finished being built, we would move into our house, and that one would be our first Airbnb. So we used a lot of our own furniture in that first Airbnb, which made it to where we only spent like $2,000 to start that first Airbnb. And once the townhouse was finished, it's a townhouse that we bought. We moved, and that one was it. And that same day we got a booking. I was like, okay.
So you first moved into a rental.
Yep.
And you furnished it, and then you bought a townhouse, and you guys moved into that, and you just kept what you had in place. Okay.
And I have to give credit to the wife for this, because she was fully on board throughout the whole process, and she was willing to jump. At this point, we didn't have any kids, right? So we were, just us. So we could do this. So we would, in essence, finish, in that case, the apartment, moved into the townhouse. Then we would finish furnishing the townhouse. That one we got, rooms to go credit card. We maxed it out with furniture, 0% interest for I think they have 5 or 6 years, some crazy stuff like that.
Yep.
So we basically got furniture for free. We're still paying it, but Airbnb is paying it. And then from the townhouse, we went to and moved into another apartment. And we literally did that for a whole year. We got our first year 12 listings, 12 Airbnbs.
Wow.
One of them is purchased.
Why did you have to live in it? I don't understand that part.
Because it took time for us to put it together. So while the furniture came in, we didn't have to figure out where we're going to live. So we would move in there, order everything, start to put it in place. And then by the time we locked in the next lease, we move into that one. And this one is ready to be live on Airbnb and start making money. So
I guess what I'm saying is, why didn't you just stay in the townhouse and then just keep, building them up?
Well, the townhouse, it would have produced a lot more money, us not living there.
Okay.
That was the mentality behind it. It was if we got it furnished, we spent $10,000 on furniture in this particular house. It's a 3-bedroom townhouse.
Yeah.
If we live here, sure, we can, but then we could be making $4 or $5,000.
Yeah.
Versus us staying here and just enjoying it. So we would just move into the next studio or 1 bedroom. That's usually where I, my little niche within Airbnb is working travelers, travel nurses. That's who we service mainly.
Yeah.
And we did that for a whole year, 12 listings in that year. And, kind of
so
the rest
you
of
went from not having a job because you quit selling insurance, right?
Yeah. So I quit selling insurance when we had 3 listings or 4. 3.
So you had insurance, and once you built enough listings, you're like, we can just do this.
Right. Exactly. It was more so I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. for me to just full on go on this. I hadn't supplemented. Most people would want to wait. And I would suggest people wait. Hey, listen, make enough money to replace your job. But I'm kind of like that all in kind of guy, as you probably noticed. Like, if I'm in it, I'm in it. Let's go.
Yeah. I actually just did a podcast on the proper way to quit your 9 to 5.
Oh, yeah?
So we'll link to that at the end of this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just talked about my journey when I was flipping couches and, you know, how I used that in order to start flipping houses. And then, you know, it took me like a year and a half to fully transition out of couch flipping before I was like, hey, you know what? This house flipping thing, I can keep this rolling. Yeah. You know, because the big difference with house flipping and wholesaling is it's very inconsistent versus, I mean, Airbnb does have its seasons and things, but it's nowhere near as inconsistent
for sure
as flipping. Like it's very much, you know, cash flow. I mean, in many cases, the worst thing is you're going to break even or lose a little bit of money versus like, you know, you're going to have big months in certain seasons.
Yeah. No, and then I guess you get to supplement and you have to really be good with your money to say, hey, the drought is coming at some point. I need to stash some cash to be able to survive. No, I get that.
Like, because I know in Big Bear, we're going to make at least 50% of our revenue in like 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so winter heavy.
Right.
So, man, you get 12 of these things and now you're just like managing them all. How did you learn?
So I'm a big believer in doing things yourself. So obviously, when it was up until 3 or 4 listings, the wife and I were managing it in the beginning. Yeah. When I was working in Allstate, the wife would clean it, you know, do all of those things. And then once, you know, I decided to let go of my job, I told her, babe, we need to switch roles here. I need you to get a job so that we have some, you know, we're responsible and we have some income that's secured. And then we'll switch and I'll fully go on board with, you know, building this business. So I would do the cleaning, communication with guests, you know, scouting new properties. I would do that every weekend pretty much. And that's how we built it. And then, you know, as of when the time came that I finally was able to tell the wife that she no longer had to work, that was probably, after getting married and giving my life to Jesus, that was probably the biggest reward ever. Telling her, you know, not telling her that she doesn't, that she can't work, but more so the option is there. Yeah. Right. So that's something that, you know, I'll probably, you know, hold really close to me because that was like I made it type of thing.
Yeah. It's funny because my wife was a middle school teacher. So, you know, we were making really good money when she was teaching, making 40 grand a year. She just loved it. She was like, I love teaching the kids and it's very purposeful. And I'm over here making what she makes in a day. Right. You know, and I'm like, hey, if you like doing it,
no, that's good.
You know, it's great. Help the kids. Yeah. And then the only reason she quit was because she got pregnant. And she actually taught till she was pregnant, or like, 6-7 months into the pregnancy. And then it was like winter break and it all just kind of like played out that way of her leaving at winter break.
That's cool. And I see that you guys are building something now for the kids to be able to learn.
Yep. We're going to homeschool now.
Yeah.
So,
love that.
And are you guys homeschooling? Is that what you told me?
Well, we have a 1 and a 2-year-old.
Okay.
So we're not fully there yet, but we're definitely going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only way right now.
It's so funny, man. So many entrepreneurs are now just, I mean, homeschooling was weird when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But now I talk to all my entrepreneur friends who are very high level people and they're all like, oh yeah, no, we're homeschooling. Like we're not dealing with what the school system teaches. And, you know, also too, just the flexibility to travel and live and do the things you want to do.
No, for sure. That's something that we've talked about quite a bit now, especially that we have the kids and stuff. It's like, what way are we going to, you know, take in order to get them the right education? It's almost like, we have some friends that do an excellent job in homeschooling. Like their kids are amazing, super respectful. You know, all of the things that you and I didn't grow up. Like if you were homeschooled, you were a weirdo. Yeah. Back then when we were growing, I was like, why? Why are you homeschooled? Why didn't you just come to school with us? You know?
Yeah.
But no, I think we have some pretty cool people that are, you know, already doing it. And by then, you know, you guys will have it, I'm sure, down packed. You'll probably have some sort of curriculum or
something. Yeah, you know, there'll be wealthy university
wealthy
for kids.
Wealthy kids.
Yep.
We'll
figure it out already for how everyone can do it across the country for sure.
There we go, man. So we're counting on you, man.
All right, fine. I'll figure it out. But yeah, so you guys get 12 in 12 months. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was the goal. Let's get 1 a month. We have
so you moved 12 times.
No, actually, there was one point that I made a bad decision. I want to share this actually because it wasn't all, glitz and glamour.
I can't imagine getting 12 is
no, there
a
was
lot of
one,
glamour.
there was these 2 leases that I actually didn't do my proper, market research per se. When it came to the lease agreement, once you get these leases, you're supposed to see what conflicting clauses are there that prohibit you from operating the business how we operate, which basically I didn't get a particular clause, which is the advertising clause, which says basically you can't advertise on Airbnb, VRBO, all these different things. So I didn't get that waived, and that was 2 leases. And then basically what I ended up doing is we moved into that one. That was probably month 4 or 5 or so. Actually, no, that was probably the fifth month that we're into it. And we stayed there for the duration of the lease. And then the other one, I would kind of just list it for a short period of time so that the leasing agents couldn't see that I was listing it and get it. And I had it like cheap. Like I just wanted to make rent. I was almost counting it as a loss in a way. So I listed it up so that it can get booked and that's when I got introduced to the midterm rentals versus just short-term rentals. So midterm meaning 30 days plus. So that worked out great. We still made money even though we had to stay put in one of these properties. And long story short, now in the same building that we got our first listing, we have like 8 or 9 in there. And the building across the street, we have another 8 or 9, and they're all pretty much symmetrical to one another in as far as like if we need to move someone because of XYZ, it's easy to manage and all of that. But I don't do any of that now. It's pretty much all automated. I have a reservations coordinator, have a cleaning team. We have a pretty good system when it comes to inventory. We have a storage unit that houses all of the equipment and inventory, toilet paper, towels, all of that stuff.
Yep.
And then just go there. We operate like a hotel. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to figuring things out or trying to reinvent the wheel. I was like, okay, what model already works out there that I can implement here?
Right.
And that was the hotel, and that's exactly how we operate pretty much.
Right. So how many do you have now?
So now we have 17 listings.
17 listings. And what will those 17 listings produce in revenue?
So we're doing now about $45,000 a month in revenue.
So that's like half a mil.
Yeah.
A little over half a mil.
Yeah, that's just Airbnb because I also do direct bookings as well. So we're operating at around a 50% margin
really?
on those. Yep.
So so let's break this down. So what do you think the gross revenue would be on all those units?
Well, this year that we just finished, we did 600,000. 600. A little shy of 600,000.
Okay. And how would the expenses break out? Like, what's your overhead on that?
We're about 20,000. 23,000 is overhead, meaning rents and cleaning mainly. Okay. Of course, there's the replenishables or the towels and all these different things. But overall, our expenses per month is about 22 grand.
Oh, okay. You're talking per month. I was like, wait, 20
I'm sorry.
grand for a year? That's
no. Yeah, per month.
Okay. So, let's talk about per month. That'll make it easier for people to understand. So you're at 45, or you said 50,000?
45 gross per month.
45 gross per month, and then about 20K of that is
expenses.
All the expenses.
Right.
What about the rent?
Yeah, that's included in the
rent's
rent.
in there too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
how much is the rent on these things?
In Charlotte, we're at I got the majority before COVID, and then I got a couple of them during COVID, so I got really great deals. But on average, we're at about $1,300 per month on rent, and that's for 1-bedroom studio apartments. And then I do have 1 2-bedroom apartment, and then I got the townhouse which I purchased, and that one's I literally pay like $1,200 for that. And that's a whole story. That was straight up God too how we purchased that.
If you're at $1,300 per rent, that would mean that your rent is like on 17. I mean, your rent's close to 20,000 on its own.
Yeah. So then we have the additional 2 or 3 grand for cleaning fees and all of that. Cause I hire in-house cleaners. So I don't hire a cleaning company that allows me, cause I have enough listings now where I can pretty much hire someone full time.
So you're just paying somebody full time a few $1,000s a month.
Exactly.
Oh.
And they all they got to do is, clean and turn them over. They only work between 11 and 3 p.m. And they're dedicated to me.
Okay.
And it's more so like an hourly basis.
How many
versus-
cleaners do you need for that many properties?
So technically, to be safe, you need about 3. Just because we have them all pretty much in the same location. That was strategic, right?
Because
If they had to move around,
boom, boom, boom. And
Yeah.
they're small units, so they're
Yeah.
easy to clean.
such small units. And other than the townhouse, which is a little bit further away, that one gets, I try to rent that one out midterm, so it doesn't require that much and they don't have to come out of their shell. But
Yeah, how many of these are midterm?
no, I try to push for midterm all the time. So
So that's why your cleaning's low, because you're not
Right.
having...
exactly that many turnover.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand, because I'm like, dude, my cleaning bill's through the roof in Big
Yeah.
Bear, but we turn it over like daily.
There you go. Yeah, that's the big thing. I cater towards working travelers, travel nurses. So
Okay.
my price strategy, not that I limit the listing, my price strategy revolves around leaving it open for midterm, so that the people who are looking to book 30 days plus, they're going to get the best rate. And then I start to flash sale the nights that are unbooked only 2 weeks out. So I start to become competitive with the rest of the market only from now to 2 weeks on the nights that are not yet booked. Does that make sense?
If you have a gap.
Yeah. So I try to fill in the little gaps with short-term
But
rentals.
your plan is, I want monthly rentals, and once it
1000%.
gets booked, then I'll fill the gaps.
1000%.
I get it.
So I'm not competitive. If you go to book, even now, you go into one of my listings, you go to book a month from now, and you're trying to just get one night, you're going to pay a hefty price for it.
Right.
Because that one night can ruin a 30, 60 night stay for me. So strategically, I price it. And that's why I'm not a huge believer in like platforms such as Price Labs and, Beyond Pricing, Wheelhouse, all of these platforms. I use them for data, but I don't use them to automate my pricing. That's the one thing that I do myself
Automate
every
pricing.
single day.
You
Yeah.
do it yourself.
I do it myself. I enjoy it mostly because of that. I can definitely delegate it, teach someone how to do it. We're going to teach people how to do it.
Yeah.
But I like, it takes 5-10 minutes of my day. I'm drinking my coffee, changing in pricing. It's nice
because it makes a big difference in the business.
oh my God. And it's like, that's what increases my occupancy rate.
Yeah.
Last year I showed you, it's like 91% occupied for the whole year.
Yep.
For all of my listings. That's
Right.
unheard of.
That is crazy.
If anybody has anything better than that, leave it in the comments. I'm curious to know if anybody has that.
Mine was high too, but man, we turn and burn. And, the part I don't like about mine is because the wear and tear gets so high from all the turnover.
Right.
I'm going to look while we're talking.
And it becomes more expensive that way too when you have so much churn.
My last 30 days, 101,000.
101,000.
Yeah.
Let's go. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's the luxury also of, having larger properties and vacation markets.
So check this out. For 365, my occupancy rate was 82%. So yours obviously was much higher. My nightly rate was 225.
Nice.
Average length of stay was 2.2 days.
Yeah.
But the last 30 days, it was crazy because that's our big month, right?
Yeah.
98% occupancy across
Amazing.
lots of,
Yeah. I would have been surprised if it was anything less than that during
Yeah.
this time period. This
Yeah.
is the golden age for you.
for a winter
Right.
destination.
So the cool thing is also that we're in, we're in Airbnb, but we're in totally different markets. I haven't really dove into vacation rentals yet.
yeah, you're just picking stable Airbnbs.
Right. I want some year-round stability type of thing. We are
Predictable
going to move
cash
into
flow.
Dominican Republic hopefully soon.
Really?
Yeah, Punta Cana,
Yep.
and get some units there. Still rental arbitrage.
Okay.
It's more so at this point. It's more experimental than anything else.
Yeah.
It's like I wonder if I can do this international because a lot of people ask me in the comments and DM me. It's like, hey, have you ever thought about going international or outside of where? Because everything is like literally 15-20 minutes from me now.
Yeah.
But I think we're at a place now that we can start venturing. I put a big break because imagine we did 12 listings our first year, and then we still not have 17 now. That's when the focus came where like COVID happened and we were okay, I'm not going to get any new properties unless it totally makes sense. And that's when we got like literally rents for $1,000 for something that currently goes for 15.
Right.
So I was
you
like,
got a good
okay,
deal.
no brainers there. Right. But then I switched to the education side of things.
Yep.
Teaching people how to do it. That's really my passion because I came from a place where, the reason why I got into Airbnb to begin with is because I wanted to go into real estate, but I didn't have the money or the knowledge on how to get started. Now we know through you is like you don't need much cash. You can borrow money. You can get lenders and stuff and get some good deals.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So in my case, it's like okay, I could do this rental arbitrage thing that I've heard about.
Yep.
Look into it. And that's my way into real estate. But now I'm in a place where I have a little bit of money, and now I want to start buying multifamily units, turning them into, Airbnbs, even if it's just a small percentage of them. The strategy is to do that, where if I do my due diligence and I see that there's a vacancy rate of about 10% for the year, maybe 10% of the units are Airbnb, so I'm 100% occupied across the year type of thing. We're going to move into that. And that's what I'm really excited about, learning from you.
So for everyone listening, I'll tell you the reasons why, I decided to partner with Ivan and take over his, education and bring it into the fold. So with, the rebrand we went through from Future Flipper to Wealthy Investor, even though we were already talking about things like Airbnb and syndicating, people don't really know that by the name. Future Flipper more so implies flipping and wholesaling, and people thought that that's all it was unless you were in it. Whereas Wealthy Investor's like, hey, we want to teach you to be a wealthy investor and, all these things. And so, we have everything from flipping, wholesaling, buying rentals, all those things. But we've never had standalone Airbnb because, Airbnb is a whole different animal from those other businesses, which are all very similar, right? I tell people this all the time. I'm like, look, if you get good at finding deals, you could flip, wholesale, or keep it as a rental. It's all the same. It's just whatever your exit strategy is going to dictate what ends up happening. But with Airbnb, it is a totally different thing, especially if you're doing arbitrage. And, I never wanted to necessarily teach arbitrage in the beginning because I'm like, well, arbitrage doesn't really build wealth. You don't own it, etc. But then the more I thought about it and the more I heard stories like yours, when we golfed months ago, I had no intention of trying to partner with you or anything, but I was like, tell me about your arbitrage business. The majority of what you own is arbitrage. And you're like, yeah, we're doing 600 grand this year and I'm going to make $300,000 doing it. I was like, wow. To go make $300,000 doing arbitrage. And to me anyways, that $300,000 was far easier to make than $300,000 wholesaling off the jump.
For sure.
I know how easy it is to go lease a property versus go get a really good real estate deal and negotiate that. It's far easier to go lease properties. And so the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? We really do need this entry level way to get in the door of real estate and to give people consistent income, which arbitrage can do with Airbnb, because wholesaling and flipping are not consistent. You get some really big wins and then, you're kind of dry when you're starting out. And even in today's market, right, where things are slower, it's we're waiting to, sell a lot of properties. And, when you don't sell properties, you lose money,
right?
And you still got your same overhead and interest payments and everything else. But, the more I thought about it, the more I heard your story and other people's stories, I was like, you know what? We need to bring this as our entry level product to people trying to get their feet wet in real estate. Give them a way to make money right now, and then they'll start doing the other things that are going to really build wealth. They're going to start buying real estate, accumulating rentals. They might flip some properties and get some big hits. Man, if you can have arbitrage as a cash flow type thing, and then you get your big flips and you get your big rentals and everything else, then you start really accelerating wealth.
No, that's what made the most sense to me, because that's literally where I'm at. I started with rental arbitrage. Now I'm definitely getting into where I need to buy properties to start building that real wealth. Because at the end of the day, let's be real. Once I get these leases, I'm still at the mercy of whether or not they're going to renew me or not,
Right.
If management changes, I have to kind of do my pitch again. So I don't want to paint it as it's a get rich quick scheme.
Well, or that it's a long term.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's literally to get your foot in the door with real estate, especially if you don't have much money to get started with.
Right.
It's literally what I did. But the end goal should be to start buying these properties. And in my case, I wouldn't say never, but I would try to avoid long-term rentals, your regular traditional rentals, because I know the capabilities of short-term rentals. Right. So if I
monthly.
Or monthly, right? So midterm rentals and all of that. So in my case, I'll continue to still have that as part of my, maybe instead of just the BRRRR strategy, is the BRRRR STR with short-term rental at the end of it. That's my goal. And then I want to be able to, kind of build these and make them cash flow so much heavier, because, making $300 cash flow for a regular traditional rental versus
It ain't changing your life.
you know what I mean? You can short-term rent it instead and make 5, 6, 7x that,
Yeah, I think too, I've heard a lot about like the group home stuff and the sober living stuff, and like there's a lot of big business even doing it that way too.
Oh yeah, I see that Pace Morby is just got a big deal doing something like that too.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, him and I were golfing yesterday, and he was telling me about that, but I've had many people tell me about that as well. So I'm sure we're going to roll that out too, as all of these new ways to continue building ways to get better cash flow in a time where interest rates are high and prices are high. So it's very difficult to cash flow in a traditional way.
I think that also one of the things that I have a competitive edge on when being able to do short-term rental and managing them and all of that is that, when you have such high interest rates as we have right now, you rely on making sure that you got a good enough rent payment that'll hopefully cover that. But when you do rental arbitrage or just short-term rental as a whole, since you're cash flowing a lot more, it doesn't hurt you as much that the interest rates are so high because you're cash flowing so much more. So it's
exactly
supplementing it.
100%.
So
yeah, and I forgot the other reason I really wanted to partner with Ivan, because there's a million Airbnb guys, by the way.
Oh my God, yes.
But just to hear, like, I watched your content and the way you're able to articulate things, and it reminded me of myself, because a lot of people have told me, they said, Ryan, the reason we like following you or your coaching programs is they're very simple and explained very easily, whereas other people make things more confusing than they need to be. And when I, listen to you explain these things, I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's very simple. It isn't rocket science. Some people make it out to be rocket science, but, I want all of our coaches to be people who can explain things to somebody who's never heard of these concepts before.
Right.
And to not be intimidated because it sounds too complex when it's really not.
Yeah. No, I something that I actually, there's times that I've had to re-record videos because of that. I was like, dude, you just literally explained something that could have been done so much easier in a shorter period of time.
Yep.
And I don't mind doing that just because I know that the one person that will see it might be able to benefit from it because they fully understood it versus having to rewatch it 4 or 5 times to get the gist of it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I've tried to learn, through you with Content Empire or now Wealthy Creator.
Yep.
It's something that, it's important because I get those comments too, where they'll DM me is like, hey, thank you for explaining that. I've never heard it this way.
Yeah.
And it was just so much easier.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that you actually picked that up.
I was explaining to somebody what a novation agreement was the other day. And he was like, dude, I've never heard it explained that way. That was so much easier because I've tried to explain it to sellers and other people and I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this is all it really is. I'm like, yeah, that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think that the ego sometimes, when we got stuff figured out, our ego might want to take over and we want to sound like we know what we're saying. We want to sound very profound and all these things.
I never use big words.
Yeah, me either.
I have a pretty good vocabulary, I think.
You read a lot.
I read a lot, but I don't ever use the words.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I was writing The Wealthy Way, I had a ghostwriter helping me out. And, when we got the first versions of it, I was like, bro, these words are way too big. I would never speak like this. And he's like, well, these are like, I'm like, no, dumb it down times 10. Like times this. 10.
It was that up there, huh?
Well, it's just to get the point across.
Right.
I'm like, make it so simple.
Right.
I want 3rd grade reading levels on everything we do.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
For sure.
I also want to talk about becoming a property manager for Airbnb, because that's another huge thing that people can do for no money. But for those of you who are listening, we're talking about this program. So we're launching this coaching program within Wealthy Investor. It's going to be called Pro Host. And so basically it's going to be training on Airbnb, identifying properties, managing them, furnishing them, everything you need to know, running the numbers, hiring people, picking markets, just A to Z, things you got to tell the landlord to go get these rentals, or, even if you just go buy a property, then still apply these methods to managing the Airbnb. We are going to be launching this. It'll probably be go time. I would guess February 1st would be when we start launching the coaching program. But if you want to learn more about it, it's going to be our entry level product, and it's going to be amazing for those of you trying to get into real estate. You can go to wealthyprohost.com. So wealthyprohost.com, we'll link to it down below. But let's talk about property management, because this one's interesting because I've watched my property manager, her name's Talia, go from being a stay-at-home mom to doing property management on the side to now managing like 30 rentals, and she'll probably make multiple six figures, and she's not having to put any money into these.
Right. No, that's what I love also about short-term rentals, is that you could literally take it so many different ways and make money with. This would be the least expensive route, right? Because even if you're getting rental arbitrage,
I might argue this is a better route.
It could be, yeah. As long as you know what you're doing, right? Yeah. It's really knowledge at the end of the day, and the time to, of course, dedicate to
operations.
It's operations. If you like operations, which I do not, it's more so like you can literally build a huge business revolving around that, where you are managing the properties for people who don't want to do the day-to-day operations, and or if you want to take it, even a step further, you can reach out to people who are renting out their properties long term, on Zillow or whatnot, and pitch them the idea of like, hey, if you want, you can furnish it and I'll manage it for you. You just give me 10 to 30%, whatever. I'll probably be at around 25%. And then I'll do everything for you. You get your property, it'll be stage ready. If you ever want to sell it, you can do a whole pitch, and that's what people will learn in the coaching program. But at the end of the day, it's really about, having a good workflow for cleaners and turnovers and all of these things, where it makes it a no-brainer for someone who's starting that doesn't have money. Maybe they just have just enough to get the coaching or the education behind it. You can literally make money the next month once you already digested
1,000%.
It's literally like that fast.
I love it. I'm a big believer in side hustles, and I love couch flipping and all these things. But if you're wanting to get a side hustle, but in real estate, because that's where you want to be long term, I love this one. I love property management because, just think about it. You said anywhere from 10 to 30%. When I was first getting into Airbnb, this was 5 years ago. People don't know this, but I got an Airbnb 5 years ago, way before it was cool, right? And I bought all my properties. I didn't do any arbitrage. And Airbnb has literally made me, I was doing the math when I was getting ready for this program, I've made $4 million because of Airbnb. So we've made $2 million in booking fees over the years, and then we've made another $2 million in appreciation on the properties I bought.
Nice.
So Airbnb alone has made me a multimillionaire in 5 years.
It's crazy,
right? So, and that's my side hustle,
right?
I don't.
Yeah, you started at level 5 basically because you bought them.
Yeah, I bought them all, and I just kind of figured it out, and whatever. But here's what happened. So when I first, because I've always been a delegate guy, I'm like, let's just delegate it off the bat. And all these guys were like, yeah, we charge 30%. And I started running the numbers. I'm like, I'm not going to make any money if these guys charge 30%.
Right.
They're charging all this money and blah, blah, blah. And so.
You mean the management companies?
The management companies wanted 30%. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So I just started self-managing, just figuring it out. And I realized managing Airbnb is not hard. Right. It's really not a lot of work.
If you're good with people, you can
one Airbnb, you tell me. I think it was taking me like 2 hours a week.
Oh yeah, at
max.
At max.
Yeah, like 1 hour to 2 hours a week max. You just literally DM people. Your cleaner's already on your calendar.
Yep.
So they know when they got to clean.
Yep.
And then you might get a text about a problem.
Right. That's really all you have to worry about.
That's
nowadays.
it.
Because when you started, there was no such thing as scheduled messages, which now you can. And it's basically they'll receive a message from you or the host when they check in, or a couple hours before. You can literally schedule the messages. So there's times that we don't speak to our guests from beginning to end. At this point, my reservations coordinator doesn't.
Everything's automated.
Everything's automated.
Yeah.
Unless there's an issue, of course.
Well, and it's better for the guests too. It's like, dude, send me the check-in stuff right now so I know. And
you don't forget. And things happen.
It's great. So I was doing it the manual way, but even in the manual way,
right,
it was still
not that
no time.
Hard. Yeah.
And I've managed mine in years, which is why I didn't want to teach it myself, because I'm like, look, I've been so far removed for years, I don't know all the ins and outs of what's happening. So I'd rather just partner up with people who are doing it every day. But with that being said, I realized I was like, dude, these guys, I'm not paying 30%, but people are paying 30%. And whether they're making money or not, it's a whole different deal. maybe they're okay just breaking even and using it when they want to use it, right? It's a vacation rental for them. But yeah, so I ended up training someone else to do it. I gave them 10%, and I was fine with that. I still made the money I wanted to make, and they're happy doing it. But easily, you could charge, like you said, 20 to 30%. Let's just say you charged 20%, right? And you get these bookings that are doing, $5,000 a month. I mean, that's $1,000 a month that you're making for managing this thing. It probably takes you, 4 to 5 hours a month
at most for just one property.
Yeah.
Oh, a month. Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's just one property.
That's one property, right? You work 4 hours a month on one property. Let's do that times 10, right? You work 40 hours a month for 10 properties.
Yep.
You're making $10,000 a month. Like it's not that hard to go find 10 people.
It's really not.
We're going to go do this. And that's $100,000 a year right now.
Yep. And
working from home.
And then you could then start hiring, VAs and stuff that you'll pay for doing little things that are
bucks a month or a few bucks an hour.
Yeah, nothing crazy. And you can start building a little agency of your own. So I would say that would be step one. I started in step two, which is rental arbitrage. But if I were to start today and I had no money, I would start management, get some cash, save up to get, $5,000-$6,000 to get my first arbitrage. That's on average where we're at now. Yeah. $5,000 gets me a door. After, furnishing, leases, all of that.
How are you getting furniture that cheap? Are you just talking about putting it on credit or what?
No, I would actually get it through Wayfair, IKEA, mainly, and then Home Goods and the little knickknacks and make it look nice.
So you're just
$5,000-$6,000.
But you're just talking like studios
and one bedrooms. Yeah. Studio and one bedrooms. I would start, if you have no money, I would start with small properties.
Yeah.
And then work your way up to whatever you want. But yeah, managing, get money. Get your first arbitrage, then maybe roll that into continuing to invest into more arbitrage properties like me. And then eventually you're at a stage where I'm at now that I'm looking for, learning how to buy these multifamily units that I can then, scale from there.
You go get a 10, 20 unit apartment and you make them all Airbnb.
That's what I want to do.
That's what you want to do.
That's exact. And then the cool thing is that I'm going to be going through it with all of the students and all of the members of, ProHost and Wealthy Investor.
Yeah.
So I'll literally be in the trenches with everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm going through it. We'll share it in the Facebook groups, on my posts, of course, people follow me there and they'll eventually get to that step. So as long as I'm a couple steps ahead of everyone else and I can teach them and it's still fresh in my mind,
right,
people are going to succeed with me. And that's my motto. I don't know if you've noticed, but and almost all of my videos at the end of the video, I say, I'll see you at the top, because I don't believe in the what people say, it's lonely at the top. It's only lonely if you don't bring nobody with you. Right. So I'm a big believer in everybody, let's go. Let's make money together. Even if it's in the same industry,
same market,
same market. We could be neighbor Airbnb. We're competing technically, but no, let's do this, man. There's enough for everybody.
Yeah. No, I love it. And that's why I'm so excited about adding this to Wealthy Investor, because I think it's a piece we've been missing that's so big and it's going to help so many people.
Yeah. It's going to bridge that gap, really,
it will. And it will help them. You're saying there's steps to Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
Management, arbitrage, what's the next step? Buying, right? And then, they can now go to the next phase of becoming actual investors, right? Because when you're in arbitrage and stuff, you're not an investor. You're
really not. Yeah.
You're creating a business, which is great. Businesses are amazing. Mm-hmm. You're creating a cash flow heavy business. And then all of a sudden you become an investor. You start learning to find good deals that you can use these skills you've already developed on.
Exactly.
And if you want to start making some real big hits every year, you could start flipping and wholesaling. And so we can take you through this full progression of what it is to become a wealthy investor.
Yeah, I think that this part, and it's something that months ago when I was in here, I was like, dude, we got to do something together, because I was out here in your office and everybody that I told that I do Airbnb, everybody's like, dude, I've been wanting to do it. I don't know where to go. Like, what to do? I'm like, Ryan, we need to get something going. And here we are. Full circle. 3 months, 4 months later.
I move quick.
You do. That's good.
Now, what happened was I had my business coach, Gary Harper, who I'm also hopefully about to partner with as well.
Let's go.
To bring his services to everything we do. But, he was the one who was like, yo, you're going to acquire businesses. You just have to partner with better people that, are going to be able to add to what you're already doing, and you can help them grow, and it's going to be great. And little did I know, he'd be talking about himself too. And that, it'd be these other, pieces. So like our goal was to acquire 12 businesses in 2023. And, you're number one. We've already got a few other in the pipeline too. So I'm like, 12 might be light. We're only January 9th.
We're only in it.
I'm like, once you turn it on my brain, I'm like, and I start now seeing everything as an opportunity. Because before I would see a guy like you and I would say, well, I can teach you. And, here's the things that we can do to help you hit your goals. You can join Wealthy Creator. You can, do this or that. And now I see things in a different light. And I'm like, well, if this person's somebody that, I really like and I wouldn't mind being married to in business, why do I have to teach them? Why not just bring them into the fold and really scale it for both of us?
Yeah, no, that's a great strategy. I mean, that's the only way to get to $1 billion, right? Just doing it with other people.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah. I only have so much capacity.
Right. And I'm believing for that for you too. The Billy Club.
Grant Cardone sat right where you were. He said right now I'm a Billy Hunter. He called me a Billy Hunter. Yeah.
That's
so
great.
We're on the hunt for all the pieces to get there.
I think that this was a crucial piece. And I know that you have a bunch of little pieces to be added that we've talked behind the scenes that I think are going to definitely get us there. Yeah. For sure.
100%.
For sure.
Well, bro, I'm excited for it. For anyone interested, wealthyprohost.com. We'll link to all Ivan's socials. He's got a great YouTube channel and social in general. And we're going to help him grow his socials too. And, he's going to be at all of our events and other things. So if you see him at the event, say hi.
Please do.
And, bro, appreciate you jumping in. And I'm excited for what's to come.
Same, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
If you want to learn to quit your 9 to 5, watch this next video and we'll see you later.